So hello and welcome to the session of Talking Tech, Women and Girls in ICT. My name is Marie, and today I am delighted to be having a discussion about technology and tech careers with Olga Lehtinen, an HR officer for the United Nations International Computing Center. So Talking Tech is a series celebrating girls and women in tech. It's being recorded around the world between Girls in ICT Day 2020 and Girls in ICT Day in 2022. Girls in ICT Day is an international day marked on the fourth Thursday of each April. The objective is to help create a global environment that encourages young women to consider studies and careers in the field of ICT. So the Talking Tech series is brought to you by the ITU, UNICC, and the Office of the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, and is in support of Equals, the Global Partnership for Gender Equality, and in the digital age. So hello, Olga, and thank you for joining me today. And to kick things off, would you mind introducing yourself and a little bit about your audience, and talking about what your current job is about?
Thank you, Marie, and thank you for having me. I'm really delighted to be here today. So my name is Olga Lehtinen. I am originally from Finland, but I have lived in New York for the past 4 years. Something important to know about me, and also why I'm really thrilled to be here today, is that gender equality has always been really important for me. So I have been raised in a way that my gender really doesn't have to define who I am as a person or who I want to become as a person. And that is something that I wish that every child had and was provided to them by both their parents and by the society. So that's why I also feel that it's really important to emphasize for girls and women that technology definitely isn't only for men, but it is for everyone. So I do not have a traditional background in tech, even though I now work for UNICC. So I actually studied international business and international management back in Finland. And I started my career in executive search and assessment, where actually I was already first exposed to the challenges in recruiting women for technology roles, but more about that later. So 4 years ago, I moved to New York to work for UN Women in their HR team. And obviously, as said, gender equality is really important for me. So it was also super fascinating to get to work for an organization that actually works for promoting gender equality in the world. I also worked for UNICEF for a little bit over a year and a half in their HR team before now in July 2022 joining UNICC, so the United Nations International Computing Center. And there I am a talent management officer. So probably when you think about the UN, you do not think about the United Nations International Computing Center. So a little bit about the organization is that we are relatively small for a UN organization. We're only about 700 people located in Valencia, Spain, Brindisi and Rome in Italy, Geneva in Switzerland, and here in New York in the States. So what the organization does is that it provides IT services for the other UN entities and organizations. So we are basically an IT contractor for the United Nations. In my current job as the talent management officer, I am responsible for a variety of things related to talent management, including, for example, diversity, equity, and inclusion, learning and development, and new ways of working and career development. So one example of a project that I'm working at the moment would be doing an organizational-wide skills gap analysis. So seeing what kind of skills do we actually have in the organization at the moment, and also what kind of skills will we be needing in the next year or 2 years or 3 years, and how can we acquire those skills? Do we develop our own employees, or do we need to go out to outside and recruit them? So that's it about me and the job very briefly.
Yeah, wow, what a career, jumping around to different UN agencies and finally coming to your current role here. So with your current role as part of the International Computing Center, what do you like best about your current role in technology?
So, okay, three things come to my mind. So, first of all, even though it's not the most traditional UN entity, it is still working for the UN. And I think that is fascinating from the sense that it just proves how, technology is crucial to all fields. So there is no organization in the world that can do well without technology, especially the United Nations. And being very different, for example, from what I would call the more traditional, what people think as the more traditional United Nations organizations like UNICEF or the peacekeeping operations. Obviously, working for UNICC, it's very different. So our challenges are maybe more similar to that of the private sector organizations. So technology obviously changes super quickly. The talent needs change super quickly, and the demand for female employees is huge. So it's really interesting to combine those challenges with then that UN environment. And second thing that I really enjoy is working on the diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. So UNICC is committed to having gender parity by 2028, which is coming very soon. And obviously, as said, we struggle with the same challenges as the other IT sector companies and organizations in the world, that the demand for female employees is definitely greater than the supply. So that's also why I really want to encourage women and girls to get on technology and bring their voice and everything else to the table, because we definitely need different kinds of profiles in order to create inclusive technology for all. And then I think the last thing is that even though, it is an IT organization, but obviously I don't work with, as in HR, I don't work with technology directly per se, but it's also very interesting how human resources has been changed by technology in the past 10 to 5 years. So even though HR is seen as probably as a very traditional field again, you can also see how technology is affecting our work in the daily lives.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting to hear that technology has made significant changes in what we consider as traditional HR. Could you expand and share an example of how it has changed and how you're applying technology in HR?
Absolutely. So, starting from, if we talk about selection and recruitment, for example, obviously, we have come a long way from the traditional face-to-face interview, or when you send your paper CV to someone, and then a person goes through all the CVs and looks at them and decides, who gets to the next phase. Obviously, AI also has, and that can be debated if it has been positive or negative, but it definitely has made the process more efficient. Now we have multiple different tools to test candidates, and to apply for a job in New York, you don't have to physically be in New York, but you can be in Addis Ababa or Bangkok, and we can still interview you. And you don't have to, or us as HR, probably when we communicate with our stakeholders and with our employees, now there are so many other ways to communicate what we do to them, for them to find information about the organization, other than, let's say, email or fax. I don't know. I wasn't alive at the time when fax was still used for these things, but you get the picture. So there are multiple ways in which technology also has affected our work, and also as HR professionals, it's really our responsibility to keep up with those technologies and new systems in order for us to be able to provide the most efficient service for our employees.
Yeah, that's great to know. And saving all those paper resumes and things like that, that's another sustainable development goal there, I think.
Exactly,
So, yeah.
saving all those trees.
Exactly, yeah. And also just kind of moving forward, since this series is about girls and women in technology, do you have any career or technology advice for girls and younger women in tech?
Yes. Oh, so many, but let me try to gather my thoughts. So, well, maybe I mean, first of all, for women and girls who are thinking about whether a technology sector is for them or whether they can enter it, I would just like to say, and me. Me sitting here is a perfect example that please do not limit your thinking in techno. There are so many different fields and so many different ways to work in technology. So if you just find something that you feel that suits for you, I would say go for it. And also, as said before, we really need those different kinds of backgrounds and different kinds of knowledge in order to make technology and the organizations inclusive for everyone. So don't limit your thinking on what you can do, and especially if you already are a woman in a certain sector but you're thinking about maybe technology is interesting and I would like to make a career move. That is completely fine in your 30s or in your 40s or in your 50s. We shouldn't limit ourselves to one career within our lifetime. And then, well, the second one is probably that it's a cliche and it's more on the personal front, but really who you choose as your life partner, if you wish to have one, can make a difference. So obviously, the society still puts more responsibility on the women, especially at home, but having a partner who is willing to share that load and do half or even more of the stuff really saves you time and energy that you then have have to concentrate on your career and concentrate in your work. And I'm not saying that work is everything that you should concentrate on, but if you enjoy it and if you find it, if it brings you joy, then definitely why not try to decrease the load on other sides of your life and then concentrate on it. And then lastly, this is a bit more serious thing, but as women and girls in life and at work, we shouldn't ever tolerate inappropriate behavior or comments. And it is very sad that still today people experience them in the workplaces and in the society as a whole. And you can see the worldwide movements that something has been happening already. But I feel that us as women, we need to unite and stop it as one front. So if you hear inappropriate comments or see inappropriate actions, please let someone know. And then if you experience them yourself, please speak up, because it will benefit us all women and the girls who come after us.
Yeah, you bring up a really great point. And you're right, we have to stand up for ourselves and for others as well. Actually, one great initiative that I saw that was actually launched by UN Women is the He for She movement, and the importance of creating colleagues, peers, friends who are going to be allies to not tolerate inappropriate comments and to really motivate each other to stand up. So really, thank you for that great advice and also re-highlighting that importance. And moving on to your experiences in your entire career. I know that we discussed a little bit earlier and you had an amazing career today. So what's a lesson that you learned along the way that you'd like to share to the girls and women listening to this?
Thank you. So I think it is that don't underestimate the importance of networking. So that applies both to your career, but also just in life in general. So I'm not a natural or I'm not a natural networker, let's put it that way. It has been very hard for me to learn the skill and do it. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And then also it has this multiplier effect. So you meet someone and you create a connection with someone. They again have a whole other network of people. So all of a sudden, through them, you have access to so many other people. So for example, at work, or if you're looking for a job, obviously it is super helpful, but also just in life, and even if in your daily work, if you want to learn something new, if you want to hear what others are doing, it's really beneficial to have those networks and go and chat and learn from other people who maybe have a different point of view or are doing things differently than you currently are. Or I don't know, maybe you might find another friend or another apartment, or a kitty. You never know. So I really would like to encourage everyone to network, even if it doesn't feel natural, and there are definitely benefits to it.
Yeah, of course. I completely agree. And there's LinkedIn for a reason. That's really a great resource for everyone. And really, thank you for that great advice to the young girls and women. So since you had such an amazing career, did you have any role models in your life that guided you through this, or somebody that is a role model that you respect, and why?
So this is a bit silly, but there is this character in a Finnish children's cartoon series called Moomin, who is called Pikku Moo, or Little Moo. And as a kid, she was my favorite character of all the story characters that there were, as she is small, she's very determined, and she is fiercely independent. So she was very different from the traditional women and girl characters that you usually see, especially in children's books at that time when I was young. Luckily, nowadays it's a bit different, but she really could come across as a very aggressive and disrespectful character. But then, once her friends needed her, or there was a opportunity to step up, she always was a good friend, and she always did the right thing. So I thought that she was a really fascinating role model to be growing up as a little girl, and showed a different way of a girl and a woman to be, without being what you would, without being bad, but in a very good way. So I'm not saying that I don't like nice people or I don't respect nice people, but just saying that, again, there is no way, or no way for a girl or for a woman in this world to be, but we should be free to be whoever we are, and we shouldn't let the society to limit how we portray ourselves or how we act.
Yeah, I think that's a great role model for sure. Yeah. And sometimes children's stories they have the best lessons to be learned. And I think that's why we listen to them when we're children. So right now we've talked about your work, your role model, and some wise words of wisdom to pass on to the next generation of girls. So you've touched on it a little bit before, but in addition to your job in technology, what are the things that you do in your life between work to balance out kind of the work and personal life?
Thanks. And actually, yeah, one great advice also, or what I've learned, is that don't let your job define who you who you are, or be the only important thing in your life. And I know I sound really old when I say this, but there is so much other things and so much else to life than just work. So also find something you enjoy in doing in your free time, and really remember to take time off. So because personally for me, two things that I really enjoy, traveling and sports. So obviously for traveling I need time off, so I'm very strict about taking my time off from work, so that I can visit different places and visit different cultures. So that's something that I cannot do, unfortunately, every day. And obviously the pandemic has had an effect on it, but something that I truly enjoy. And another thing is sports. So I love both exercising and watching them. And actually my at my home. Now my spouse is getting a little worried because the NHL season is just starting here in the US, and I really enjoy both watching and playing ice hockey. I used to play it more when I was a kid and don't really play anymore, but I still enjoy watching it. So I will be taking the TV on a couple nights a week at least to watch some good hockey and enjoy myself. But so I've spoken a lot, and I'm sure people are sick of my voice. So what about you, Mari? How did you and when did you get into technology?
So for me, I followed a similar path like you did, where I was not in the traditional technology role before. I was introduced to legal technology and technology by two special women in my life. First, my sister, who was working as a designer in a legal technology firm, and she introduced me to legal technology and supported me to explore other paths of the legal profession other than the traditional path while I was in law school. Second, I was inspired by my friend, who is not only a woman in tech, but also a professor and an author of a book that discusses women and digital design in her book, Je code dans je suis. Really being inspired by these two women, I started to explore what is available in the legal technology sector and applied to be a business consultant at BRYTER. So here, not only do I use my legal experience, but I'm also learning how technology can be a driver that can help lawyers improve the quality of work and also provide a platform for the general public to have easier access to legal support.
Thank you. And it's great to hear from you, because you are a perfect example of someone who, as you said, doesn't have the traditional technology background, and someone who works in maybe not as in the traditional technology sector, but as said, we need all kinds of different profiles. So very great to have you here. So what do you like the most about your current job and what you do?
So I really like the continuous development and endless possibility of technology. So I work every day with some amazing colleagues that are always thinking about new ways to improve workflows and increase efficiency for law firms, for general counsel, for legal operations, and for the general public as well. With technology, we can really reshape how we practice law. And for example, in a law firm setting, we can actually adopt technology to do document assembly, automation, knowledge and practice management, and even we're now moving into the AI-assisted research and analysis as well. So there's such a wide range of what can be done in the legal sector using technology. And one really special thing that is close to my heart is that legal technology can be used to benefit the public sector. So personally, coming from a military service background in my previous lifetime, public interest is something that really motivates me. While I was a student in law school, I realized that there was such an overwhelming number of individuals in the general public that did not have access to legal services. So with technology, we're able to allow everyone to access the law online and eliminate the ability to exert exclusive control over the law. So also with other legal technology platforms, we can now build applications that are able to immediately react to global crises. So for example, with technology, we're able to create a platform for refugees, let's say, that want to ask legal questions and receive advice. We're able to build that out within a day, where you provide a link where everybody has a phone now, and you'll be able to go ahead and go to that application or use a link or go on that particular website and be able to ask legal questions and receive advice immediately. And also, I love the energy and the dedication of all the people in legal technology. And I work from different colleagues to mentors who are all driven towards a focused goal around the world.
Thank you. That's really fascinating, and great to hear from that kind of projects. They definitely are greatly in need. So What are your plans or next steps in tech? Have you applied any projects, continue your studies, or something like that?
Yeah, so as I touched on a little bit before, I don't come from the traditional technology sector. So I actually don't know how to code. But my next step is actually trying to try my hand at learning how to code and to gain a deeper understanding of software and program development. Right now, I'm in a role where I don't need to know how to code because our platform is what we traditionally call in the legal technology sector, no code, which is connecting subject matter experts that don't know how to code to build workflows and programs and application without the knowledge of code. But I would actually like to go ahead and then learn how to code to really expand that knowledge. And really, this really kind of connects onto the next sector, which is the one great effect about the increase in awareness for women in tech and through these kind of research projects is that there is an amazing number of free resources, such as courses that you can learn, academic organizations that share all these ideas. And really, they're coming together to work on how technology can be developed and giving free software and free ideas on how we can get more girls and women involved and to really discuss new innovative projects. So as part of this initiative, my next plan and my next goal is to expand the applicability of legal technology, working with academic institutions such as law schools, law libraries, and clinics, and with, of course, the programmers to continue the conversation of how to explore and develop creative solutions to some of the most pressing issues that are really coming together, which is the combination of law and technology. And ultimately, the goal is to find issues and opportunities where technology can improve and support the practice of law and make it more accessible as well.
Oh wow, it sounds fascinating, and maybe it should have been me interviewing you. You definitely have so many interesting insights, and it seems that you have got hooked in technology. So it really, once you start working on it, it gets you. But so, would you have any messages for other young women in tech, or maybe not even so young as myself in technology or companies or academic institutions that you would like to share?
I'm going to take a book that's a little bit cliche again, and a kind of a repetition of what you said is never say never. Don't let anything be a barrier. Don't be scared to try anything out. I really think that the worst thing that you can do is say no, or I cannot do it, or already stop yourself from even trying by saying technology is really not for me, or I'm really bad with technology. And I can be honest and confess that I was one of those individuals that said, technology is really not for me. Every technology that I touch, it breaks down. So I'm sure that technology is not for me, but everyone has a different style of learning. So approach technology in a way that suits your learning and take it step by step. And the great thing about technology is that it is continuously growing and developing. So there is really no end to what you can explore and learn, and not everybody knows everything. And like you said in your suggestion, network, surround yourself with people that are motivated to learn and really want to develop and want to kind of have that discussion of what's next in technology as well. So for myself, I have a fantastic team here in the US and also in Europe, where we all collaborate once a week on how to best use the technology that we have and to find the best solutions, and also to challenge each other, to share new ideas and also learn from each other.
That's great advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I think we had some really, really great discussions about technology and about life and how we can balance work-life, create work-life balance, and also how to really enter into the technology sector and not being afraid. And also, I think we have some listeners that might actually check out the book that you were talking about earlier as part of your role model. And I know I definitely will check it out as well. But that wraps up our session today for Talking Tech. and women and girls in ICT. So thank you so much for your time, Olga, and I really enjoyed our chat today. And thanks so much to our viewers for watching. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, Marie, and thank you everyone for watching.